Hi, my name is Brett Arnold, film critic at Yahoo Entertainment and host of the New Flesh podcast, a show about horror movies.
And I'm Mark Dujsik, film critic at markreviewsmovies.com. And this is At the Movies Again, a weekly movie review podcast where two film critics talk about all the new movies in theaters or on streaming for that week. This week we have 9, I forgot to count them ahead of time. We have 9 new movies, most of them in theaters, some of them also available on demand at the same time. It's kind of a slow week, despite the fact that we have 9 movies. The biggest movie is a horror movie called Obsession that has a lot of buzz going around it, and I think we're going to take a little bit of that buzz away, but we'll see. Also,
we love to take the wind out of sails.
We do sometimes when it feels deserved, but we'll get to that. Also in theaters is God Is, In the Gray, a new Guy Ritchie movie that just completely just came out with nobody knowing about it. When I went to the theater to go see it, even the person who was selling tickets had no clue what it was. So good job on the marketing on that one.
Yeah,
guys.
really a fuck up, because I actually quite liked it. I know you didn't, but we're going to have a fun conversation about that movie that no one has heard of that is playing in theaters now.
There was no reason to hide it the way they did.
No.
I will say that much. Driver's Ed, a new comedy from Bobby Farrelly, the other Farrelly brother, on his own. Marty, Life is Short, a Netflix documentary about Martin Short. The Wizard of the Kremlin with Jude Law and Paul Dano. It's an Oliver Assayas film for people who know about that guy. Lifehack, a Screen Life movie. And
you know what that means. Timur Bekmambetov's name is on it.
Yep, it is.
Of course. That's his bread and butter now. He makes Screen Life movies, at least one a year.
Wait, was Mercy this year? Mercy was still this year too. And I think
so 2 a year.
He had 2 a year this year.
That actually tracks with how many of these there are. That makes sense.
Yep. Forge, a character study thriller about art forgery that is not by Steven Soderbergh. And Magic Hour, a movie written and directed and starring Kate Asselton and also Daveed Diggs. That one's going to be a conversation. I know that much. I suppose we should probably get right into it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. What do I have to say? The episode's a little late because I had to play catch up with movies on Friday instead of Thursday because I'm solo parenting for a couple nights, and that's just the way it worked out. But I'm glad we're here with all the movies, including Is God Is and In the Gray, 2 movies I didn't have time for until today. But let's start with Obsession, the biggest movie of the week. I think it's gonna overperform big time. I saw the tracking had it at like 10 million. I think it's going to do like 20 or so. It seems to have a lot of buzz. And even though Mark and I seem to be the only people who don't like it that much, it's going to be one of those, like, I kind of recommend it in spite of how I feel about it. It's going to be a weird review. We're going to talk about it. Here's the trailer for Obsession, directed by Curry Barker, the latest sketch comedian turned horror director, and also the latest YouTuber turned horror director. He's both. Double threat, triple threat now, I suppose. Here's the trailer for Obsession, which is kind of the most notable thing about it is that it's a great star-making performance from Indy Navarrete, I believe is her name, who plays one of the lead roles in this movie. Here's the trailer for Obsession.
Have you ever actually flirted with Nikki?
I'm gonna go get some shots.
I'll come with you if she means this much to you. And I know she does. To say, Nikki, I think we should grab a drink sometime.
Nikki, wait. I was gonna ask you.
What?
I lost my train of thought.
Hi.
Good night. What else?
Why?
One wish, Willow. You only get one wish. I wish Nikki Freeman loved me more than anyone in the entire world.
Mark, tell me about Obsession, a movie that my biggest problem with it is that it's a story that feels definitely not fit for like almost 2-hour movie. It's easy for me to say it should have been 90 minutes. I say that all the time, but in this case, I'm like, this could have been a Tales from the Crypt episode, perhaps. Like there's not that much meat on the bone. So I found the pacing kind of bad and it to be a little repetitive. But I think this movie either is going to work for you or it doesn't, depending on if you're ready for it to be a comedy, because it is kind of just like a very, very dark comedy about this hapless dude and like what a guy like that would do in this situation, kind of fucking it up at every turn. Fucking up, like, I guess, the relationship with the audience, the empathy, you know what I mean? Like, he purposefully, I think, in the script level, is like fucking up every chance he gets to do the right thing. Anyway, tell me about the movie.
I think that's the big question, isn't it? Is how are we supposed to feel about this guy? And I don't know how the movie feels about this guy, because I don't really think the movie is interested in his characters as much as it is about the gimmick and about the comedy, which sometimes feels out of place when it's doing all the stuff that it's actually doing in terms of obsession and possessiveness in a relationship, and just showing all of that going on and the darker things that might be underneath it if you dig a little bit deeper that I don't think are there. But the basic premise is guy is obsessed with a girl that he's known for, a long time. He just doesn't have the courage to ask her out because he's that kind of guy.
Classic friend zone situation.
Yeah. I mean, there's problems with that wording, with that phrase. And I think that might be part of the movie's own problems, but we'll get into that a little bit more.
Sure.
So he finds a thing at like this novelty shop that allegedly grants somebody one wish. It's called a one wish willow.
It's like $7.
Yeah, you pay $7 to, some, gothish girl at the counter, and then you make a wish and you crack it, and then your wish allegedly comes true. People complain. They bring up there's some complaints, like, oh, because it doesn't work. Like, well, not really, because it doesn't work. You would think that would be the first warning sign. Some of the humor here does work, especially early on when it's doing what it's doing, just setting up the situation and the characters. I think once it becomes the young woman named Mickey, played by Indy Navarrete, who is out of this world incredible in this role.
She's so goddamn good. It doesn't even matter to me that the movie didn't hit for me. It brought us this woman. So thank you.
Yeah, I think this is easily one of the best performances of the year from her. She is fantastic. Because what happens is the young woman does become obsessed with this guy after he wishes that she would love him more than anybody else in the world.
Yeah, phrasing, dude. Come on.
Yeah, well,
watch your phrasing, brother.
This is where I'm going to get at with my problem with the movie. It is the phrasing. It's the wording of that. Once she becomes obsessed and jealous and overly possessive and controlling and doing all this stuff, can you really call it love? And I think that's one of the things that the movie doesn't quite get right, is I don't think it's very specific with what it's trying to do. I think it has this idea that, what if this monkey paw situation of guy asks that the girl that he loves falls in love with him and loves him this deeply, and what would be wrong about that? Well, obviously, if you're looking at it this way, it could be this kind of attraction, this kind of relationship where it is destructive and toxic and all of that stuff. That would be the worst case scenario for him. And I think it's just this gimmicky sort of premise that is more about being unsettling and creepy. And it's not really exploring what it's really about, which is about this guy who is obsessed with this woman.
Yeah.
And the movie kind of writes that off, that his obsession is not as bad. It's harmless. It's innocent. It's just, oh, don't you feel sorry for this guy? And then
okay.
As soon as she,
I don't think. Interesting.
I think you're supposed to. There's that whole scene where where he's practicing asking her out.
The opening scene, right?
Yeah, the opening server, with the opening scene with the server at a restaurant. And the friend's like, this is too much. And the server's like, oh, it's so sweet.
Yeah.
Kind of like, and sincerely saying, oh, that's sweet. I think we are supposed to kind of feel some level of sympathy for him in that part. But then as soon as it switches over to now she's obsessed, she is so possessive that it becomes a cliche of, the way that, people might behave in that kind of relationship, especially women.
The demonic extreme, like an archetype, a stereotype. Like I even
the
director's proudly said, like, I told her, don't act like a possessed demon, which is like partially potentially what's going on, just some sort of supernatural thing going on. but he told her to play it like a jealous girlfriend at every turn, and like she does an amazing job.
Yeah.
The incredible performance, very physical, and there's also filmmaking wise, I think really interesting choices when they show her, and like how it's like jittered, and like there's like frames cut out when she moves around. You know what I mean? Like there's always like visual tricks that show how otherworldly she is. But the best thing in the movie that I think is not completely unexplored, but to my personal taste, like underexplored, is the movie reminding you that the real Nikki is somewhere else in a dark place, screaming for help the whole entire time this is happening, and that breaks through to the fake Nikki, the possessed Nikki, like a few times, which is like, it's great because I do think it does a great job of reminding you. I don't think Mark agrees with my take on the character, but I thought the movie does a good job of making that guy out to be the worst, and then kind of giving him a comeuppance for it. Like, I thought it was interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I get that. Get that could be kind of the point. But I think that her behavior is so extreme.
Well, yeah,
so extreme.
It's played for comedy instead of scares, which is my problem. I think.
That's a big part of it too.
Like the duct tape thing, which is funny. It's very funny because she duct tapes the door so he can't leave, and then we're stuck with the comedy of him being like, "It's not a big deal. I'm going to work now," and he has to like fucking get the door open. It's like a Tim Robinson sketch or something. It's like very silly. And then like again, I just wish this movie. It's one of those things where I'm like, people are really liking this movie. I just kind of, I guess, wish it were. I know it's really a mean movie and it does get quite nasty, but I just kept wanting it to be like, I was actually unsettled by those real Nikki thing where she's breaking through. And I just think the movie throws that to the side to do like provocative gore. And, you know, which like there was a scene that's, you can tell, you'll know it when you see it, that was like, we had to cut out several seconds of face smashing because it got an NC-17 with this face smashing. And it's still it's still quite fucked up. I'm sure they just did it a few more times in the other cut. But that's kind of the problem for me. Like it just becomes like a fun time at the movies for an audience, you know? Like it's a fun audience movie, which I feel like is like mean for me to knock it for like being an entertaining movie. But like I do think there's like a better movie in here that is kind of skirting around all the things I find most interesting. So I found it a frustrating experience. I thought Indy Neverett is unbelievable. I thought the main guy, I didn't like him, so maybe I feel like I didn't give him enough credit. I need to see it again and say he gave a good performance, because in my mind I'm like, she just steals the show so much. I'm not even really thinking about that guy. But like, there's so much going on with like the toxic friend group, or the friend group being like, dude, she told me a few weeks ago that she doesn't like you. So like, what the fuck is going on here? And like how that whole dynamic is going on. Like there's so much interesting stuff going on here. And I do think it just becomes a more gross out, whatever you want to call it, vehicle than a thoughtful thing that I was enjoying. But I do think it is critical of its lead and like having fun with him in a way, like punishing him or like ultimately punishing him. But you're watching him in a comical sense to me, like be presented opportunities to get out of it a million times. And then like it'll cut to him fucking her in bed and she's looking at the ceiling possessed. And we're meant to look at this guy taking advantage of a situation. He doesn't give a fuck about her personhood or agency or what her wants and needs are. He's just, you know, it's like trying to say that like behind a nice guy, I think that's what the so sweet thing at the beginning you're talking about is.
Yeah, I think
we're trying to say that behind this nice guy, this is what they're in a real situation, look what would happen. He's not so nice. Like he would just kind of let this happen because he is benefiting from it, even though he knows it's wrong repeatedly. Many times he is told by the situation that it's wrong. So for me, Mark, an affectionate, I still recommend it 2.5. Like I think there's problems, but I think there's enough here that I'm like, I gotta hand it to certain aspects of this movie. It is funny. I kind of want to watch it with the lens of it's going in knowing it's a comedy, which I didn't know seeing it, and I think I would like it even more. I'm like, the more I've sat with it, the more I'm like, do I like this movie or do I not? But I'm 2.5 with a caveat at the moment.
I really wish I think that what you're bringing up about him being being punished, getting his comeuppance, all that stuff. But how does he get his comeuppance? What is it through? It's through her behavior. It's through him feeling uncomfortable with her being possessive and controlling. It's not, it's so weird because the other thing is like his obsession, his feelings dissipate as soon as she returns those feelings to him. He wants to get out of this, but he can't. He is stuck in this situation. And why is he stuck in this situation? Because of her actions, because of her feelings, even if it's not technically Nikki. But that's what I'm getting at. And you brought up this idea, and I think it is the most chilling idea in it, that the real Nikki is somewhere,
like a get out sunken place somewhere, like watching
exactly
this.
And I think if this movie actually did want to present this relationship in the way that you're suggesting it does, and I know a lot of other people are suggesting it does too, that it might have actually explored that idea and seen Nikki as more than just whatever she is on the surface and whatever this new form of her is, and actually looked at that situation. I mean, where the real Nikki is. And I think that's, and then to play everything else off as comedy, all of those uncomfortable situations and all the extremities of her behavior.
I mean, even the biggest
standing in the same place while he goes to work, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And like the biggest gore gag is like, I guess that's a joke. Like it's fucked. It's like the most fucked up joke I could think of, but like it's a dark joke.
Because she's just jealous at that time,
right?
You know, and that's how she's going to respond. And it's weird that she, like, the movie kind of plays around with its own rules too, because she will stand in place while he's at work, but as soon as that one thing happens, she just disappears from the movie. She disappears from the entire movie.
I like when she's watching him while asleep because it does all that fun editing stuff where it's like messing around with how she is like not herself, visually presenting that idea kind of. So yeah, there's stuff in here I like. I just think it's
there's stuff in here I like too, and I think there's a lot of promise and there's a lot of potential in this idea, but I think it's just doing it the wrong way. I just don't think it does. If it is trying to say this nice guy is, you know, clearly abusive and doing all this stuff, like, I don't think it goes about doing it in a way that really communicates that when you're playing it off for comedy, when you're showing more about her extreme behavior and it overtakes everything else. When you give him sort of these outs, these little tiny outs of like wanting to get out of the relationship, but now he's trapped by this mystical force. There's something off about it. And I don't think it quite works on that level. And I think it might just be because I think it's really just about, we're going to show you this crazy, creepy woman be crazy and creepy. And isn't that scary? And I think that's mostly the movie's goal.
By the time, by the time the movie introduces, like, I think it's multiple customer service people who were just like unhelpful at the Wish Willow. I was like, okay, so this guy who I know is a comedian, like he just clearly wanted to make something that was really darkly humorous versus like explore the things that are actually so fucked up and unsettling to consider. And like maybe the movie if he made where he did explore the like sunken Nikki, maybe that is actually too fucked up and not fun. Like maybe he's right, but like,
and maybe here's an argument. Maybe this shouldn't be fun.
Yeah. Fair.
Maybe a story of a manipulative, controlling guy who essentially rapes a woman mystically shouldn't be a fun movie. Maybe let's talk about that. Let's have that conversation.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. So where were you on this?
I'm at 2 stars for Obsession.
2 stars. And you know that this guy who's 26 right now has been handed the keys to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, and he's talking openly about wanting the Freddy one. So I think we'll be seeing this guy and hearing this guy's name for a while. I think he showed promise, even though I have problems. I mean, it's the fact that it stuck with me, and I usually want to be like, everyone's overpraising this movie, so therefore I'm going to be a bulwark and say it's not that good. It's kind of the opposite. I've sat with it, and I'm like, I have to give it its props for what works, even though I do think ultimately it cops out at what I want to see personally, and focuses on other stuff. Anyway, 2.5 for me, 2 for Mark. For Obsession, which is going to overperform big time because horror always wins.
This is going to be big word of mouth. Just the fact that we're talking about it this way.
Yeah,
everyone else is going to be talking about this movie in this way.
Yeah,
too.
I've only seen insane praise. Like you and me are the only ones who are under 3.5 on my feed.
Oh, I just meant like the conversation pieces that are going to happen afterwards.
Yes. It's going to have a very minimal second week drop. It's a hit. It's a hit. And you know what? We haven't even talked about Did you know that it was like $700,000 budget? It's like nothing. It was
geez.
very cheaply made. So it's just going to be one of the most profitable movies of the year, maybe even more than that. So watch this space if you care about that type of shit. But next up, we're reviewing Is God Is. Just an awful title for a good movie, in my opinion. It's based on a play by the woman who wrote and directed the movie, which Jesse, my other horror movie podcast co-host, says you can watch the play online on YouTube. So if you're interested in after you see the movie or before you see the movie, you can do that.
I am interested, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, I am interested too. Especially if the lead in this movie is in the play, because talk about star-making performances. I thought I gotta get her name. Is it Kesha Young? She was so good in this movie. Here's a trailer for Is God Is.
Twin, we got a letter from Mama.
I thought she was dead. What she want with us now? Where she been at?
She's on her deathbed. If we don't go now, this might be our last chance to see God.
God.
She made us, didn't she?
Girls, I'm gonna make this real simple. Make your daddy dead. Real dead.
This seemed a little crazy.
I had no idea what to expect for this movie because I try to avoid trailers in general, and I was one of those times where it's just you go in blind and you're kind of taken aback by a lot of stuff going on in it. Very interesting, cool movie. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so it is about two twin sisters, played by Carrie Young and Mallory Johnson.
Carrie Young, yes.
Yeah.
That was the one who I think is the standout. The race
She's
scene.
very good.
The character is just like, got the most going on, I guess.
Yeah, she's the one she stands out the most because she's the character who stands out the most. They are very different in personality. They were both almost burned to death by their absent father now, who got away with it. Essentially, he went to court and got away with it and has moved on with his own life, while the two girls were in foster care and grew up under more abusive situations. Now they're adults and they are called back by their mother, played by Vivica A. Fox, and ordered to kill their father, make him dead. And so that's what they're going to set out to do. It's a revenge story, but I think it's more about the characters. It's more about these bigger personalities. The fact that you have these two twins who are very distinct. Young is very outspoken. She's angry and violent. And Johnson plays a character who's more withdrawn and soft-spoken and all of that. Fox, she's so good in just that one scene, just laying out the plot and the story, and has this flashback where she's kind of taking back her own voice within that and what happened to her when her husband tried to burn all three of them alive. And then you have, I'm trying to think who else. There's so many people who just kind of show up for like one scene and knock it out of the park. Erica Alexander plays one of the guy's wife. She's now a faith healer.
She's great. And then
she's
Janelle
so
Monáe
good.
Shows up and is
Janelle
great.
Monáe shows up
Yeah.
and is so good.
Yeah. Did you say Sterling K. Brown already?
I did not. I was I was building up to that because he plays the father, and I didn't know what to expect. That performance though is so good because it's taking everything that you kind of expect from Sterling K. Brown. Like he's got a booming voice and he's charming, and you watch him and you're like, yeah, this guy's cool. I want to know more about what he's doing. He twists all of that just in some way that makes it completely him, but also not him at all. I don't even know how to describe it. When he first starts talking in the movie, and it takes a while before he actually gets a line of dialogue.
Yeah, they mostly just show us like his mouth. And shit.
Just his mouth and his leg, his feet. Because he's just this sort of otherworldly presence.
Yeah.
In their minds and everything.
I mean, it's like the looming specter of this absent father taken to the extreme of he tried to kill their entire family in such a brutal way. That scene that the flashback is so intense. I was struck the entire time by how Kill Bill like it is, only to Google it after and discover that she was very inspired by Kill Bill and rewatched it while writing it, and then which led her to rewatching Lady Snowblood and Once Upon a Time in the West, all the things that influenced that. And I feel like that's all in there, including by casting Vivica A. Fox in the role, because she was in the iconic opening scene of Kill Bill Volume 1. She's part of the, what is it called? The Black Viper Squad. God, what a great movie. Go watch now on 4K disc. I don't know if the disc is out
I
yet.
don't think
It's
the
on
disc is out yet.
Yeah, it's
I
on
think it's
digital
digital.
4K. You can watch the Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair, which we put highly on our, was that last year?
Yeah,
Was
we
it
reviewed it
45?
last year.
Okay.
Like right at the end of the year when we had many, many other things to be doing.
We
were
had
like,
to do it.
Like, we got to watch Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair and review
Had
it.
to
And
do
we
it
did.
to him. But yeah, Is God is like, you know, a really interesting character-based films. I love the like little details of the twin connections and how they speak without talking.
Yeah.
All those little details are really clever and well done. For a feature debut, I thought it was like, you know, well put together for the most part. Yeah, I don't know if it has like, I don't know. Maybe I was expecting like a more bombastic finale or something, but it's still it's just, I don't know. It's more grounded than that, I guess.
Yeah, for me, that's where it kind of starts to slowly drift. Is once it gets into that third act, it becomes kind of formulaic in a way of it's just about who are the targets and what's going to happen and how are they going to do it. It's when you have all those actors and you have them playing roles with such big personalities and you're drawn into them and they're so distinct too. It's not just like, you know, they're speaking in different voices, like, and I mean like authorial voices, like, you know, the writer director is, you know, writing specific characters with specific characteristics and traits and all of that, and you can sense that when you're watching the movie. So for it to just kind of in the third act become, oh, here we're going to go through all the routine stuff, it did kind of, you know, dwindle for me. But I still think that everything up until then is so strong, you can't ignore it.
Yeah. I'm a very strong 3 stars for Is God Is. Strong recommend. If you like revenge movies, if you like, you know, violent, I don't know, very personal stories. I don't know. It's very Kill Bill. If you like Kill Bill, but it's like with a little twist, you'll like it. It's easy to recommend, I feel like.
Yeah, it feels unique too. It just feels like it has a unique voice, and it is.
Well, yeah, I've never seen twin people who were burned together and have very specific outlook on life, and yeah, it's just a very unique thing. It was a joy to behold.
Yeah, 3 stars for me as well for Is God Is.
All right, next up, we're talking about Guy Ritchie's In the Gray, which is in theaters now somehow, despite having no marketing whatsoever and providing critics with no information or anything. Here's the trailer.
Call Gary into my office. There is a situation here.
I assure you, you'd like to listen. The alternative is very expensive.
Gary! Get them out of my office now.
Gary, a moment. There are 2 versions of how this narrative plays out.
Exhibit A.
Gary waits patiently and quietly by the door.
Exhibit B.
Gary steps forward and you spend the next 6 hours sponging him off the walls. I know which version Gary would prefer. Gary. Shh.
Manny Salazar. He's not really the guy you loan $1 billion and expect to see it back.
You think you can recover it?
You know I can. And this job, when mistakes are made, you need insurance. Kids, don't say a word. Follow me.
Guy Ritchie's hot streak of highly enjoyable B movies, programmers, whatever you want to call them, continues strong, I think, with In the Gray. I may have enjoyed this more than any of the recent batch, of which I have enjoyed quite a few. I'm talking Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre. I'm talking what was the one called? The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, or whatever the fuck that was. The League of
Ungentlemanly Warfare.
There you go.
But yeah,
that one, that was fun. The one in the Afghanistan one, was it, that you loved?
Yeah,
that was Guy Ritchie.
So good.
Okay, I guess that's the best one he's made in the recent batch. But this might be the most fun one. And like, I love The Man from U.N.C.L.E. This feels like a lot like that. It's got Henry Cavill. It's got like Fast and the Furious sequel energy. It's just constant operation, heist planning, and then executing. And it just gets in, gets out, no fat. An exercise in Ritchie being a great director and editing this thing very efficiently. I had a blast with this. I'm surprised you didn't like it. Tell me what it is and why.
I think there's a lot of fat on this. I think there's not that much meat there. It is just characters explaining what they're going to do eventually and how they're going to go about doing it, and then repeating how they're going to do it and doing
thriller.
it. I know. Yeah. I like those. I like process thrillers. This is a little bit different though, because it's just I didn't find the process that interesting. It's just, we're going to go to this island, and here are 3 different escape routes. This is how we're going to go through this escape route. Okay, cool. Now this is how we're going to go through this escape route. And then this is how we're going to go through this escape route. Now we better rehearse all these. So we're going to do this escape route, and this is how we do that escape route. Remember how we do that escape route? Now we're going to try this one. It just goes on and on. And I wish even the characters had a little bit more personality. And the fact that you have Henry Cavill and you have Jake Gyllenhaal playing these 2 mercenaries who, I mean, Gyllenhaal, you know, I'm thinking of Ambulance, which he was in with Isaac Gonzalez too. And that character he played in that is so over the top and has so much personality. This guy is just speaking in monotone. And the same thing with Cavill. They're just reciting lines. It's dull. I found it boring, which is too bad, because once it does get to the action, I think the action is done really well, and it's staged really well. And the fact that I think I don't want to give away too much about it. I think the cleverest thing that Richie does is he does all of this. It's a lot of build up. He does this build up to, this is what's going to happen when the action comes. This is what's going to happen. And he throws it all for a loop and says, okay, here's a situation where they are not planned for it. They don't know what they're going to do. How do they get out of it? And I think that scene is really good.
Yeah,
because it takes so long to get to it, though. It's unfortunate, but man, doing that little switcheroo and saying, you know, this is what you're going to expect, and then to throw it all out the window just so you can do a really good shootout is a very smart idea.
I just thought it was super exciting, you know, really good bump and score that I enjoyed. I like the dynamics between the characters, even though, you know, you start to roll your eyes when Gyllenhaal and Cavill start throwing around Richie dialogue that's supposed to be like almost homophobic, but I think there's characters that are supposed to be gay. So no, I think it's like
I think the joke is, I think the joke is just that they are so close to each other that they can make that kind of
like joke. They can pretend to be gay. And on the missions and whatever. Like, that's my husband. But I feel I couldn't tell if this movie was slyly trying to tell me that these characters are gay, especially with like the way they call. Don't they all call her mother? Like, it's all, there's a lot of weird stuff in this movie, frankly.
That's just the thing. They call her ma'am, and then because Cavill's got the British accent, it sounds like mom. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was just like, you know, pure entertainment. I was very on board right from the start. I love the premise of a lawyer who is like, you know, a very movie constructed character, very not realistic, who's like a badass woman who goes up to, you know, cartel level billionaires and is like, you owe my client $1 billion, and I'm going to get it by these crazy means of like fucking up your oil rig in another country, and then you're losing $20 million a day on it. And I just thought it was fun and like interesting and never boring, and exactly what I want out of a late period Guy Ritchie, I guess, movie, which he makes at least one a year, sometimes two. Yeah, I don't know. I had an absolute blast with this. I don't really have any notes except for the fact that I think it would be like 10% better if her character's name, which is Rachel Wilde, were Rachel Gray. Then there's sequel potential also. Think about that. Like a Heart of Stone with Rachel Stone on Netflix. Remember?
Oh boy.
Gal Gadot.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh God. Anyway,
I vaguely remember. I'll say that much.
It's a tough one. Tough one to pull. Anyway, I think, you know, it's exposition heavy. I hear you. I get it. But like, I thought he's a strong enough editor and director that like it works. I had a blast with this. That's a very strong 3 stars. I had a great time. I wish this got a real marketing. Go see it. I had a great time.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't market it. I mean, even the people who actually did go and see it and reviewed it. I just looked on Rotten Tomatoes while we were waiting, because I'm like, how many people actually did get around to seeing it? I think it was like 20 something. So good job on that. But people weren't awful towards it, even the people who didn't like it. 2 stars for me for In the Gray. I do think it's so exposition heavy. And then
is it just more that Black Bear doesn't have any money and this is like a Black Bear movie, and so they couldn't afford it? Or I'm assuming Black Bear acquired it or something. I don't know.
Black Bear acquired it. It was supposed to be Lionsgate, obviously, because Lionsgate does most of Guy Ritchie's stuff.
Yeah, but
Black Bear, we
Yeah.
we reviewed Black Bear movies. We reviewed Shelter with Jason Statham. They were very happy to
you're right. There was
make
something
that
last
available
week
to
that was
critics.
Black Bear too, I feel like.
Yeah.
Um,
Where next week is Tuner. That's a Black Bear movie.
Yeah, I've seen
We're
that.
going to be
Yeah,
reviewing that with
link,
no
yeah.
problem.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know why they did that. It was a
They just-
own goal.
They for some reason I think they just assumed they had a dud because whatever, and but
Well,
one good way to prove you have a dud is to not
make it a dud.
available
Right,
to
yeah.
critics and not help with your marketing in any
But
way.
I mean, he's made on the box office level, I think has only hit in the past since COVID, I guess. Maybe this was even before COVID. Was it Wrath of Man, like right around then, 2020?
That was
2020.
Yeah, that was
a hit, I think.
That was that COVID era thing though too.
Yeah. So everything after that, which I have liked, has all been like these expensive movies that don't get real releases and don't make any money. So I have no idea how he's still getting money, but I hope it continues because I had a good time with this. Next up, we have Driver's Ed, the latest Fairley Brother film. We covered something else recently from the other Fairley Brother, which was
Balls.
Oh God.
Was that it?
Yep, Balls Up or whatever it's called, the Amazon movie with Mark Wahlberg and Paul Walter Hauser. It was terrible.
Yeah.
The other Fairley, that's Bobby and this is Peter, or is it the opposite?
Opposite. This is wait. That was Balls Up is Peter.
Okay, good.
Of Green Book fame.
Yes.
And Bobby is this and Champions.
Champions, which we both liked, I think, if memory serves.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah, well, it's okay. I think that Champions was okay, and I think Driver's Ed is better than that. And I'm surprised. I don't think you agree. Let's talk about it. Here's the trailer for Driver's Ed.
You're killing me, man. You cannot sext in the middle of class.
He's sex texting. Samantha, my girlfriend, just started at Chapel Hill, and it effing sucks.
That guy was just naked.
Jesus Christ, it's like the Wild West over there.
But you got a new girlfriend already?
No, me and Sam are still together.
She's in college. Is that even legal?
Yes.
Beautiful day for a drive. Hands 10 and 4.
Wait, isn't it 10 and 2?
It's just numbers. Do what feels good, Follow your heart. Left my coffee by my skateboard.
Follow your heart. Follow your heart.
Guys, can't drive without me.
Now, I think if you're expecting something on the level of the trailer just said from the creator of There's Something About Mary or Dumb and Dumber, even Me, Myself, and Irene, what are other classic Fairley Brothers comedies? It's not up there, but this is a perfectly more than watchable. I'm surprised it's in theaters and rentable because it feels like a perfect streaming movie for me. Like, I think it was Sean Burns who said, like, I would be annoyed if I saw this in a theater, but watching it at home, it was like perfect fodder. And I had a great time with it too. I think it's a sweet little movie that is surprisingly honest and earnest about its characters, which is something I feel like you usually would say. So I'm surprised you didn't feel that way. But like, I feel like it gets a lot of goodwill for me for having a premise that I relate to, which is like that very specific time when you're transitioning from high school to college and you might have a relationship that is going to be impacted by that. And this guy's dealing with it in a hilarious way where, he's trying to keep it going long distance. And the movie fuses like 80s teen comedy ideals with like the 2000s comedy premise of like Road Trip, where he's just trying to get to the school that one's to stop a sex tape from getting there. But this doesn't have any really raunchiness to it. It's just like sweet and nice. And I thought it was charming. I was charmed.
I was charmed at times. I liked the younger cast members. I liked what they could have brought to their characters. I wish that the movie had focused maybe, if not exclusively on their characters and what they're going through, that, maybe a little bit more. I think every time it switches over to the adults, I think it just kind of becomes a comedic dead zone, even though you have Kumail Nanjiani and you have Molly Shannon.
I like Molly Shannon and I like him. I like them both too. Yeah.
I like them both. But what I think the problem is that once you cast the two of them, you kind of have to give them something to do.
Yeah. And I mean, Kumail just has the one time where his arm's like this.
He's so funny.
I'm a little teapot.
He is so funny when he first shows up. When Nanjiani first shows up as the driver's ed teacher with two arms and cast facing at different angles. That's hilarious. And he plays it off so well. Yeah. But then just to keep going back to him and to Molly Shannon as the principal, as they hunt down the kids and they're trying to find them before the cops.
Because they don't want to tell the cops because they're in trouble too. If so.
Yeah, it is. I think it just grinds everything to a halt, and it just makes those, and it puts all the teen characters who have a lot of stuff going on. It shoves all of them into the background.
Each of those kids in the car who are like basically this kid who you'd never think would be like a bad kid ends up taking a car full of students hostage, but they all, of course, end up learning valuable life lessons along the way that you'd never learn in school. So
Exactly.
I don't know, man.
And why could the
It
movie
works
just
for me.
been that?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be also we're gonna have all this stuff with them getting hunted down by the cops and all this? It just, I don't know. Just I feel like the adults ruined the fun that the movie could have
That's
had.
fair. I mean, I think that because it's funny people that it just kind of works, even though it could have been way better. I don't think it is as stifling to the movie as you say it is, but I understand thinking that.
Mainly because because I mean, we didn't even talk about the other characters. It's the main guy. Did you know who the main kid is? Sam Nivola.
Yeah, he's Alessandro Nivola's kid. I think
with Emily Mortimer.
He was in something recently that was like acclaimed. He was in like The White Lotus, I believe.
Yeah,
on one of the White Lotus seasons.
But I like those three other characters who are in the car with him. They're not. There's not much to them, unfortunately. Like one of them is, you find out, is questioning her sexuality, and that comes up like in the third act. And until that point, she's just kind of there in the back seat. Like, what is going on?
She's the one who like most
character?
doesn't want to be there. And then there's Yoshi, who's a stoner and is funny. There's some funny stuff.
He has a sad story to him, and it's good. That stuff is good when it comes up, and then just like, come on, let's let that play out. Let's let those stories be told.
The part where he's stoned and driving, and he's like, "Well, thank God I'm not driving." that shit's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
That's a funny bit.
Yeah, there's funny stuff.
There.
I'm not going to deny it. There's funny bits in here. I just really think it's trying way too hard to get sort of this. Maybe that's what the problem is, because the adults are more the screwball comedy and the kids are the heartfelt comedy. And if you get, I guess maybe because it's Bobby Farrelly, he feels like he has to have both in order to make it work. But I think it's fine with just the heartfelt stuff. It might have worked better.
I think it works just fine, not like amazingly, but like it gets the job done. I was pleasantly surprised by it for having these like real characters and moments, and also being funny enough, even though it could stand to be raunchier or something. Like maybe like it just is kind of mild in a way that I wasn't expecting, but that worked for it, I think, for me, ultimately, strangely.
Yeah,
there's a name Stiller in this, so there must be a Stiller child in this movie that I missed.
The roommate.
Okay, got it.
Although I don't know if it actually is one of the Stiller kids.
Actually, of course it is.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, I literally Googled it. It is, but
okay,
it always has to be. Also, it's just like the rule of movies nowadays. But I'm 3 stars on Driver's Ed. I thought it was an unassuming, unexpectedly charming little movie that I had fun with.
2 stars for me, unfortunately.
Okay. Next up, we've got Marty, Life is Short, which is on Netflix now. It's a documentary about Martin Short that includes incredible home movie footage shot by Martin Short himself over the years, and tells a tragic story, but also one that's inspiring and nice as it is depressing in ways. Here's a trailer for Marty, Life is Short.
I'll tell you something about Marty. Let's say you're going to host a dinner party and you invite Marty.
I loved you in Home Alone. You're wonderful.
And then it turns out Marty can't come. You cancel the party.
In this business, in the world of comedy, there's nobody faster.
You used to do circus work. I was a freak for a while.
There's nobody smarter.
Just because the eyes are so dull doesn't mean that there's not a machinery of wheels clicking away.
There's nobody funnier.
Say something funny.
Oh, you were the guy.
I feel like he could improvise to eternity, couldn't he?
There's only one way out, so we should jump. For heaven's sakes, the fool will kill us, I must say.
That scene with Martin Short playing his goofy character, I forget his name, and Tom Hanks playing Forrest Gump, and they're reenacting a scene from Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. That's kind of the peak of what the joys of this movie, but it also gets at like the stuff you may not know about Martin Short, like that he lost his wife that these two, and they really make the case beforehand, telling you that she died, that these two were inseparable, and like they are as close as two people could be to each other. And so when you find out that she died really young of cancer, that it's just like devastating. And then you learn he had decades more years of comedy doing for our amusement. And I was just totally inspired and found it very moving and touching, as well as as funny as you'd expect it to be, because it has Martin Short off the cuff, candid home video style, which is great. And it also has the footage from his movies and characters with like Jiminy Glick, which are all hilarious to see too. So I found this to be delightful.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too, but it does have that register of melancholy and sadness to it, because I mean, yeah, his wife, John Candy, obviously is a comedian. It's interesting that we got that John Candy documentary, which had a lot of home video that John Candy shot, and a lot of the story revolved around that. Now the two of them work together. Now we have a Martin Short documentary that with a lot of that. It's just interesting that that's they have these behind the scenes. This is our
I know,
my
and
life.
then
It's
this one is tinged by Catherine O'Hara dying right before
Yep.
it came out, because she's in it prominently.
She's
and
in it.
speaks
She's
prominently.
interviewed. She's
Yeah.
interviewed
Yeah.
by Lawrence Kasdan, the director.
Which
to
again,
talk in front of the
Lawrence
camera.
Kasdan made this movie, which we haven't
Yeah.
mentioned. Like,
Which is a big
iconic
deal.
Screenwriter of Star Wars movies and director of his own right. He'd made this movie, and yeah, it does feel like a special, intimate, personal thing. That I feel like I'm just like privileged to have seen this. You know what I mean? Like that footage is like special.
It really is. But I do like this idea. I mean, there's sadness to it, but this idea that because he is trying to get past, and he's trying to live on after his wife's death and all these other people around him who have died over the years and everything, and continue to do so. It's just tragic, but he keeps working because you just have to. You have to let that laughter and that joy and the life, you have to live, and you have to live the way you want to, and you have to do things that would honor.
It's important
people.
to hear after tragic shit, because I don't know what the fuck to do, but since my mom died, and you're just constantly working through what you feel. I don't know. There's a lot of like guilt at first, and then there's like just like what could I have done differently. And he's so right. It is very inspiring to me, this movie, and like what his ultimate message in what I think comes across, I guess.
Yeah. I love that little moment he has where he talks about his brother. His brother died. His oldest brother died. And he just said he had a dream about him and said, like, everything's fine and I'll catch up with you in a minute. And he just kept, that's what his idea is. Just like, it doesn't, all that stuff will be whatever it is. But right now, just keep living and keep moving forward and doing what you love to do and what everyone else loves that you do. Because he is incredibly funny, and I do like seeing all these clips put together. You're right, all the characters that he's created over the years. I think when Jiminy Glick first came out, I only saw like little clips of it. I didn't find it that funny, but watching it in recent years, and especially here, all the clips that you see funny. Exactly what he's doing with it, it's so funny.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite characters of all time, Jiminy Glick. It's so funny, and just like watching other people laugh is what makes that funny. Like Bill Hader taking it and just laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it delightful. It's like rare that you get to see a movie like this when the person's still alive. So we should celebrate that Martin Short, while he has there's a sad backstory there, he is alive and well and has a good message to spread. 3 stars for Marty, Life is Short on Netflix now.
Yep, 3 stars for me as well.
All right, next up, I really like essayist films, but that does not apply to this one. The Wizard of the Kremlin, starring Paul Dano and Jude Law, giving absolutely zero effort in portraying Vladimir Putin. Here's the trailer for The Wizard of the Kremlin, which something about it, the structure and the material and the narration, make it one of the dullest movies of all time for me. Like, it was took a chore to get through. I found it to be very boring. Here's the trailer for that movie.
Russia needs a new president. He's young, athletic, he's a spy, KGB. Vladimir Putin.
What interests me is power.
Vadim Baranov was a visionary director. He became known as the new Rasputin.
I want to be part of my time, not just a witness.
I cannot
be subservient to anyone.
Our goal
Is chaos.
will get into people's heads.
We'll build the myth that the Russians are controlling the modern world.
You're using your black magic in the service of power?
It's a game.
This movie is interesting on paper, I think. I like where it ends and like what the implication is of what they're trying to say. But God, is this movie a chore to sit through? And I think just like every choice made feels like the wrong one, including Paul Dano giving like sleepy narration the entire time. It's so boring. And then Jude Law comes in as Putin and he just talks like Jude Law. Doesn't even attempt. No one attempts to do like Russian accents, which make the whole thing very strange. I just found it to be like a deadly leaden movie that I was expecting to enjoy because I really love Assayas. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce. I never know how you're supposed to pronounce that dude's name. But he makes a lot of different interesting movies, and this one is not one of them.
Yeah, unfortunately, this one kind of fell flat for me too. And you're right, Paul Dano. Whatever. I think Jude Law. I think he's giving a little bit better performance than you're giving him credit for. He's doing a lot with his facial expressions that really look like Putin, even if his voice is just. There's a lot. There's a lot of subtle stuff going on, but Dano is doing such subtle things. He really does just seem like he's not doing anything at all, which is unfortunate because Dano is such a good actor. But this role is just. It's just explaining what's going on.
I have a new theory on what caused the kerfluffle with Quentin Tarantino. He was watching a screener of this movie, and he decided Paul Dano sucks. And
it's the first time he recognized who Paul Dano is.
Yeah. Oh, Christ. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, you said you like where this movie ended. I was kind of annoyed where this movie ended simply because, like, after you do this, like, we're looking at the inner circle and we're seeing everything from the perspective of people who really want Putin to be, in power. And this is how you manipulate levers of power and you do all this stuff. And then to just come out right out and just say like, no, it's really bad. It's really bad that all of this is happening in such a blunt way.
And look at our society today, perhaps, and maybe there's relevance. Like it's very
obviously there's relevance.
It's
about Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, I know, but like I appreciated. I think like I get what they were going for, even though I don't think they nailed it at all.
I don't think so either. Which is too bad. It could have been such an interesting story. But instead it is just, I think it's so caught up in just trying to play everything off as casual and nonchalant that
he's a fictional invention, the Paul Dano character, which is confusing and dumb because it's so centered around him that it's like, what am I getting out of the movie being centered around this anonymous guy who's like trying to, it's supposed to speak to, the corruption of power and like, I don't know, like the behind the scenes deal making and shit, I guess. But it felt like the longest movie ever when I was watching it. Like it's one of those, just like nothing going for me nothing was working.
It doesn't help that it is pretty long too.
It's quite long. Yeah, I really didn't like
2
it.
hours.
And I've given his movies 4 stars before. So this is a big miss for me. 1.5 for The Wizard of the Kremlin.
2 stars for me.
Thankfully, we're about to bounce back with the latest from Timur Bekmambetov. I haven't done the research to know, does he actually produce every single one of these, or does he just own the concept of screen life, so they have to credit him every time? I haven't investigated. I think he just produces them all. But here's the trailer for Lifehack, the latest. It all takes place on a computer screen style movie. And I think this one's, I pretty much like all of them. And I like this one too. Here's the trailer.
We've got the team. Just hear me out. She posts everything. Look, where they live, where they eat, her mother's maiden name, her first pet's name.
To my baby. That is the ugliest dog I've ever seen.
Date of birth, place of birth. We don't even need her for half.
Yeah, all very impressive. You could maybe get through a few password security questions, but it's still nothing.
No, it won't be for nothing if we get his phone number and email.
Where would we even start?
We start here. As we can all see from Lindsay's thought-provoking profile, she's gone down the eclectic career of being a model, influencer, and founder of Lumen.
Yeah. Also known as the I Live on Daddy's Money Package career.
That little clip/trailer really shows what this movie is good at and smart at, which is showing how the modern internet and social media and the way we volunteer information everywhere, how that could be used against us by bad actors who want to take advantage of you in some way. This one's particularly like almost Robin Hood-y, right? Like they're like taken from billionaires. So there's like, you're on their side. But it's still scary in the casualness by how someone who's good at this type of shit can like find everything out about you and your passwords and trick you and like pretty much instantly. And even me and Mark, who consider ourselves probably pretty tech savvy, could easily fall for the shit. So I'm always impressed by that, and I think this movie does a great job of portraying the internet first and foremost. But tell me about what the premise is.
Yeah, it's ultimately a heist movie where it's a couple of, teenagers trying to break into the crypto wallet of a guy who is very much not Elon Musk, despite the fact that he smokes a joint on the Bro Rogan podcast.
The Joe Brogan show or whatever. The degree to which this movie just like doesn't even sugarcoat what it's portraying in its like satire of the media and just like does the laziness of calling it the Joe Brogan experience. I appreciate it. The real life parallels.
I did too. I think it's very funny that it does that, but it's essentially just a heist movie, but it's all done. Well, not all done. It's mostly done digitally by hacking phones, by conning people who work in work at like a customer service to convince them that you are somebody that you're not and get access to stuff. It's really well done. And what I liked about this compared to some of the Screen Life movies, some of them, even the ones I like, feel a little dry and the pacing's off, because as soon as the character is searching online for something, it's just you're just watching a screen. This one does a really good job blending all the stuff that's happening with the actual process of what's going on the screens and what they're doing. And so having doing it all through video chat, essentially like almost real time of these guys sitting on a video chat and saying, I'm going to do this and you're going to do this and you're going to figure out this, and have it all play out as it's doing it. I don't know, just the pacing of it makes it feel more active. It feels like you're actually watching. You're part of the experience. You're not just watching somebody on their screen doing something.
It's very well put together in that sense that you do. It's like actually like tense and suspenseful.
Yeah.
And it's like exciting because like they're pulling off heist shit, but they're all at their fucking computers. So it is a feat when a Screen Life movie is able to like get thrills out of a computer screen. It's impressive. So yeah, I had a great time with this, and I was constantly not quite maybe on, I don't know if edge of your seat might be overselling it, but I was constantly engaged with it, and I thought it was really clever, and yeah, it never like lost me at any point. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it's convincing in terms of all the technology that it's putting forth. It's a nice little warning for people, just that from that opening scene where they're showing how easy it is for somebody to just say like, your computer is at risk and here's what you can do, and they just turn the tables on them, and then they show you by stealing all the cryptocurrency from these guys how easy it is also to just have your stuff hacked. I think it's a good worthwhile story too for people to pay attention to, but it's also a nice, surprisingly intense heist thriller along the way too.
Yeah, totally agree. Strong 3 stars for Lifehack.
Yep, 3 stars for me as well.
All right, this next movie, I wonder how I would have felt if I had seen it before another movie we reviewed recently, because it's too similar and just not as good, in my opinion. And it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. It kind of just did one thing that I didn't like, and then it kind of lingered on that. Anyway, here's a trailer for Forge.
So the painting's a fake?
Not a fake, a forgery. A fake's a replica. A forgery is a new creation. The forger signs the painting like it's a genuine piece. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I heard you and your sister can forge just about anything. I need you to forge my grandfather's art collection.
He wants to sell them to like actual art dealers.
We can do it right. Come on.
Whoever made this, they knew how to get me.
You and your brother's paintings, they're impressive.
The Christophers. The Christophers is a great movie, a Steven Soderbergh movie, and that Solomon script. Ian McKellen's so good. I think he's going to get Oscar nominated, or I hope he will. This movie just feels like it's a very similar premise done in like an indie way that it totally works on its own terms. And then it just kind of gets bogged down by the like FBI part of it. Almost like this is kind of cliche and not that interesting to me. Anyway, tell me about it.
Huh. I enjoyed this. It is sort of a thriller. It starts off with these two siblings. They're children of Chinese immigrants, played by Andy Ju and Brandon Su-Hu, and they forge things. She's a really good artist, but the only way she can make money doing art is by forging paintings that didn't exist and then selling them on the black market, and that's what she's good at. And there is a thriller element where an FBI agent played by Kelly Marie Tran is just come into Miami and she's investigating all these art forgeries that are going on. And they kind of, have this cat and mouse game going on. But what I really liked about it is it's more focused on the characters than it is about the procedural elements, about the thriller stuff, because it's not just the art being counterfeited. These characters are making counterfeits of themselves to make themselves seem bigger than they are. Yeah. That's what I really liked about it. Like that the two siblings have to pretend to be successful at other things because of the expectations set by their family. That even like this millionaire rich kid who hires them to forge the art is pretending to be more successful than he is because that's the expectation based on his own family and everything. Right. There's a lot going on here.
And there's also, my criticism. I get what the movie's doing by having the FBI agent be who she is and the way that they connect, like the close-knitness of that immigrant community. Like I get that. I totally get that. But I do think it's a little clunkily, just like convenient type of movie narrative shit with the FBI agent, which is just so much less interesting than any of the other stuff going on. But I still liked it for the most part. I think I would have been a full 3 stars had I not seen the Christophers, and now I'm like, it's okay. 2.5 is how I feel.
I think this is doing something completely different than the Christophers. The Christophers is about characters talking about art and the authenticity of art and what art actually is and where it comes from and what makes art important. There are conversations here happening where characters are talking about that stuff too, but it's not the focus of it. It's the focus of it. This one is the thriller elements and the character study elements, and the fact that all these characters are pretending to be other people for whatever reason that they have, and that makes it almost in a way easier to pull off these kind of scams when your entire life is a sham in a certain way. I think that stuff's really interesting. I think maybe the FBI agent getting so close so quickly is a plot contrivance, and it's very convenient. You're right, but I forgive the movie for that. I forgive the script for that because it does something interesting with that eventually, with what the FBI agent learns about that community and how it, is not necessarily being honest about situations is just, to save face in a way is just part of what's going on. And that's where she starts to figure things out.
Yeah. That's fair.
I think it's
pretty good to me. It's one of those another affectionate 2.5 for me today.
Okay.
I think it's 2.5, but I don't dissuade anyone from seeing it. I think it's pretty good. I just love the Christopher so much. I'll say watch that instead, but it's unfair perhaps.
I think you can watch both and it's fine. 3 stars for me for Forge.
Fair enough. Next up and last up, Magic Hour, a movie written and directed by Katie Aselton and Mark Duplass is somewhere involved. Are they?
Yeah,
he
married,
co-wrote it. Right?
They are married. Yep.
Yeah, I remember learning that in the League days, back when I watched the League, and they were on it together. But here's the trailer for Magic Hour. They're back making mumblecore, no budget films. Here's the trailer.
What if we just stayed here? Got weird, turned into desert people.
Yeah, you're selling it, but that's not real.
I mean, what is this?
We decided we were going to work through it, right? And we're here and we're doing that, and that's good. It's a step.
No.
So we're going to focus on...
I can barely breathe.
Boy, I'll tell you, darling, you think you know them.
Seriously? Now we have secrets.
You love them.
Are you staying here?
Do you want me to?
You've tried.
I simply can't take it anymore. There's so many things wrong with this movie, including that it treats something very obvious, like the entire kit and caboodle of the plot, as a twist, and tries to obfuscate it for way too long. And then it's like, what is there when that's revealed? Like, what am I to get out of this? It's just kind of like a surprisingly bad indie movie from such kind of storied indie filmmakers that you expect better from, frankly. So disappointing for me.
Yeah, disappointing for me too. At least I don't think it dragged out the inevitable reveal of the twist for too long, but it's still so obvious.
It's still so obvious.
So obvious.
So
Like
the movie's like thinks it's being clever. You're like, you're not being clever.
You're not. You know exactly what it's gonna do. You know exactly what they're trying to not talk about. And then when they do talk about it, and there's a couple of misdirections too, where they're talking about them trying to have a kid at some point, and you think maybe that's what it is. Like, except that it's not that, because you've already figured out exactly what is going on here. But the big problem is, once it's revealed, what do these characters actually talk about? They don't talk about what you would think in this situation people would want to talk about. If you have this once in a lifetime opportunity, this impossible opportunity, wouldn't you actually talk about something other than just kind of like, oh, I guess this is bad. I guess I'm sad. Oh, I don't know what's going on. And I don't know. Like, you could talk about anything. You can talk about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's disappointing because I know Asseltingen, is a good filmmaker, and I know Duplass is also a very good filmmaker, and they co-wrote the script, and it feels like they should know better than to just leave this opportunity hanging, but they do, and it's such a disappointment.
Yeah. I don't want to be too mean, so maybe we should leave it, because it's just not very good. It's just like it's just like a simple it's like student film thesis-y, where it's like, I confronted my grief in this very personal film, and I obfuscated it for no real reason, just for dramatic effect, but it doesn't really function well. It was kind of embarrassing. I didn't like it at all. If I were being honest, which I am, it's a 1.5 star movie. It's pretty bad.
Yep. That's exactly where I'm at. 1.5 stars for me as well for Magic Hour.
All right. Fair enough.
Right.
Mark, are you ready for the recap? Are you going to do it?
I am.
Okay.
Obsession, 2.5 stars from Brett, 2 stars from me.
You have to say affectionate 2.5.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Obsession and affectionate, but not obsessed, 2.5 from Brett.
Yes.
Is God Is, 3 stars from both of us. In the Gray, the new Guy Ritchie action thriller, sort of. 3 stars from Brett, 2 stars from me. Driver's Ed.
Exposition action thriller.
Driver's Ed, 3 stars from Brett, 2 stars from me. Marty, Life is Short, currently streaming on Netflix, 3 stars from both of us. The Wizard of the Kremlin, 1.5 stars for Brett, 2 stars for me. The new Screen Life thriller Lifehack, 3 stars from both of us. 2.5 stars for Forge from Brett, and 3 stars from me. And a very disappointed 1.5 stars from both of us for Magic Hour.
All right, perfect. Now, I hope no one's too disappointed by this, but this episode's so late, Mark, that I think we should forgo the comments section and make it double next week.
Yeah,
and just be done here, because we did it.
You got to put it all together and everything, and it's
got to put it all together. I am solo parenting right now. My kid is here now. If you've heard anything, that's what that was.
I think everyone will understand if we save the comments.
Yeah, so we'll save all the extracurricular stuff for next week, when we'll be talking about Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu, the first Star Wars movie, the first theatrical Star Wars film since 2019. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about and a few low-key indies, including Tuner, Saccharin, and Giant. So plenty to talk about next week.
Yeah, there's also I Love Boosters.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yes,
I did put that on there because,
there's a third. Oh, Passenger.
Yes.
Horror movie that looks cool. Andre Overdahl horror movie at Paramount. So yeah, we'll have all those and more next week, plus all the comments. Sorry to leave everyone hanging on that. It's okay. Except for you. Was it Leonardo Lopez who yelled at me for not seeing Is God Is and In
the Gray?
And In the Gray, which like the whole point of this episode's late is because I did go catch them up. Did go see them because I agree it would have been a travesty if I didn't see them. And that's how much I care about this show. So I hope he's happy to see this. All right, bye.